Hello everybody, it's your favorite West Virginian out in space, and today I'm going to talk about the Nickelodeon Content Accelerator. Now, a lot of people haven't been talking about this, despite the fact I consider it to be one of the biggest pieces of news in the animation industry since, a while. At least I think it's pretty big news, in my opinion at least. Anyway, in case you're not up to speed, and I'll link it down below so you can read through all of it for yourself, Nickelodeon's looking for people to submit their cartoon ideas and then help them make it. Basically, get your show made on Cartoon Network kind of deal. Now, there are categories and limitations, and there isn't exactly a huge 50-page long, license and insurance somewhere on their website, and they do expect that, even if you win the contest, you're still gonna have to do talks in person, or at least have talks with them and that kind of deal. So it's not just like what they say there. There's obviously more going on, but overall, it looks like a pretty good deal. Now, obviously, there are limitations, like I said, but overall, I think it's one of the best animation deals ever, at least if you're interested in getting into the animation industry, because let me tell you, trying to get your show made is a nightmare in the modern animation industry. You have to go freestyle it, and then you have to drum your own money, accounting, and advertisement, which is a pain, or you have to climb the corporate hierarchy and then hope that your show gets made. I mean, just look at the story of Rebecca Sugar and people like that, who often work in the animation industry for years before they get to make their show. So this basically fast track is honestly an incredible deal. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if you can get it or try to get it, I highly recommend you go for it, as it's just too good of a deal. However, this video is called Nickelodeon's Content Accelerator, the good, bad, and the ugly for a reason. It's not all sunshines and rainbows. First of all, I have two problems with the deal they stage or this document in general. One is going to be pretty simple in my opinion, but I do think it needs to be said. I don't like how you have to be 21 to do it. I think it should be 18, and not just because that means that my dreams of doing it are completely squashed. I mean, there's a part of it, but no, it's that fundamentally, I get the idea. You don't want to work with kids because their legalness is confusing, they have to deal with parents, and it's just a whole nightmare. And I totally get that's why you wouldn't want to work with 17 or underage people. However, 18-year-olds are adults, so I think anyone 18 or up should be viable for it, and especially in this economy, it's probably good to, because if a 21-year-old is way more likely to be established just in life than an 18-year-old. Just they more likely to have a job they care about or education they really care about. They're a lot more entrenched in their life a lot of the time. Not always, but a lot of the time. And especially in this economy where it's hard to get jobs and keep good ones, is it really worth taking a shot at, I'm going to be the next big Nickelodeon cartoon guy, when you could just keep working your steady and somewhat stable job? 18-year-olds have a lot less of the problem than a 21-year-old. And so I just think it's kind of a bad plan. The second one is, and I have to be very careful how I say this so people don't get the wrong idea here, is that one of the things they want to do is they really want to get underrepresented voices of the animation industry, which is perfectly fine in my book. In fact, I commemorate it. I respect anyone who is willing to try to lift up people who haven't been given their proper time or been shunned. However, it's their terminology. Now, most of it through the document looks pretty solid. It's just saying, we want to represent groups that haven't represented, and that's all fine and dandy. There's no problem here. However, right at the beginning, we get this line here of who they want. Let's say, people of color and people of the LGBT community and etc., etc. However, it's the wording that I think is going to cause them problems. Is that when you say you want insert thing, that means in some ways you don't want X thing. So it's kind of bad sounding if you look at it that way. Now, I don't think Nickelodeon did this intentionally. I don't think they're intentionally trying to exclude any group with this. I'm just saying that's how it looks if you read it. And I think terminology could have been slightly better worded, like saying, we want people of all groups, rather than saying specifically who you want. When I really think they do want all groups, I just think the wording's a bit off, and it creates this problem where it's going to sound like you have a bias, and that could be a problem, especially in the internet, because this Content Accelerator thing is going to be a big deal in my opinion. If any of these shows take off and really get produced, it's going to be a big deal. And it's not going to look good, because we all know how early controversy can completely hurt a show just at the beginning. Even small details were very quick to judge. I was very quick to think I wasn't going to like Amphibia because I just didn't like the art style. Granted, it got better with time, and I think it's not as actually bad as it did, but it just looked weird to me. And I love Amphibia. It's one of the best shows made recently, in my opinion. But first impressions kind of matter. So when there's an internet controversy about it, it could seriously hurt them, especially these poor creators. And because you have this weird dichotomy set up where if you, let's say you're a person, one of these groups they say they want, and so then if you do get it, you might spend your entire life thinking, did I really earn this, or did they just pick me because of my insert whatever? And that's not a feeling I wish on my worst enemies. Or if you are, or if they do, or if you're a person who is a group they supposedly don't want, or at least how they word it sounds like they don't want, then you're gonna be thinking, well, was my idea rejected because of my ex? And that's not a good feeling either. And then you create another problem, is that if someone who is of the groups that you say you want, or that you say you want here, then it's gonna give a whole bunch of idiot fascist neo-Nazis, you know what I mean? The fire saying, oh, they didn't really deserve this because you said you wanted them, which is not true in my opinion. I'm just saying that's how the internet, these jerks respond to that kind of thing, and that controversy can really whiplash a show. Or alternatively, if you someone of a group you say you didn't want, or not didn't want, but a group that it is well represented in the animation community gets that position, then people might call you out for being a hypocrite. Now, I don't think any of these things should happen because I don't think Nickelodeon was trying to do this. I genuinely think they want all groups here. However, when you word things like this, it creates a problem. And the internet is very quick to be, how do we say, horrible? So you have to be careful. And you're drawing up random people from this mess. You're not like working with professionals who have lawyers and all this jazz. You're working with people who just have ideas and maybe have the talent to do it. So you need to be careful how you word things like this. This is unprecedented in many ways, and I don't want to see this glorious plan get shot down thanks to controversy because you word a few words wrong. And it's kind of sad, really. However, I don't think that's the biggest thing really going on here. In my opinion, I wondered to myself, why is Nickelodeon setting this up in such a way that they want, that they're asking for random people to, make their next show? And they even specified they want the next big hit IP like SpongeBob or The Loud House. So I have to ask myself, why is a big studio asking for randoms to make their big shows? Now, granted, you're not doing this on your own. You'll probably get funding and animators and storyboards and all that jazz, but it is a question, why are they basically outsourcing in a way? Now, I could be wrong here, but my best guess is they don't have any good ideas, and they don't have much drive or creative talent much anymore. And I don't necessarily mean that in the super meanest way, but I think it's objectively true. And we look at like the early 2000s or so, back when I was a kid and started watching, when I was a little kid and watched some of the cartoons, I could name all these shows, which granted were a little bit before my time, but they were still great. Like, SpongeBob was the biggest one, but there were other shows on Nickelodeon, like, well, I never really watched Danny Phantom, ironically enough, but Jimmy Neutron, Very Odd Parents, those shows were great. Even shows that I didn't like as a kid, or don't like even now, like Rugrats or Dog and Cat. Was that Nickelodeon? I think it was on Nickelodeon. Shows I just didn't like. Even I knew about them. I knew their presence. Heck, even some lesser popular cartoons, like the Thornberries, was that what it's called? Wild Thornberries? Something like that. Even I knew about its presence on Nickelodeon. However, nowadays, the past 10 years, how many cartoon shows on Nickelodeon can you really mention? I openly admit I don't follow Nickelodeon religiously or anything, but I didn't also really follow Nickelodeon beyond SpongeBob and a few cartoons back when I was younger either. So I can't really name very many prominent Nickelodeon shows. And this is kind of a problem for them, because outside of SpongeBob, the only big hit they've had was The Loud House. And if you look at other networks like Cartoon Network, they've had Adventure Time. They've had Steven Universe. They've had OKKO. All these shows. Oh, Craig the Creek. Craig the Creek is good, and Teen Titans Go was a mistake of God. But all these things, and Disney XD has had the super mega hit of Gravity Falls. It's had Amphibia. It's had Owl House, which a lot of people liked. I don't care for. But these other two shows have had their big hits during the 2010s and early 2020s. Nickelodeon has really only had The Loud House. And that's good for them, because Nickelodeon, let's be honest here, for about a decade or so was just living off of SpongeBob. Like, the only thing really keeping the network floating was SpongeBob. And The Loud House is better. It's taken some of the pressure off SpongeBob. But now you have a problem where the only thing Nickelodeon is really known for these days is SpongeBob and The Loud House. And I don't know about you, but I don't think a network should survive on just two shows. Especially when one of them is older than most. Well, jeez. This thing, SpongeBob is like over 20 years old now. Heck, I can even tell from some of the episodes of SpongeBob that I'm pretty sure most of the writers on SpongeBob now are people who grew up with it, which is impressive for one continuous show, but it shows how long it's been around. And I don't even know if Loudhouse can go on that long like SpongeBob has. Maybe it can, I don't really watch it. But it doesn't matter because a network shouldn't live off just 2 shows, especially for this long. And that's going to be a problem for them. So, in my opinion, even they have realized this problem. And so, in my opinion, they're trying to find new blood to try to, kind of fix it. They only state they want the next big IP like SpongeBob. They want some other pillar to either replace one of those 2 shows or stand on its own, in my opinion. They want a new big IP, like they said here. And that's what I think they're really getting at here. It's even specified, if you look at some of the documents, they want new original shows. They don't even necessarily want, obviously they want some things that have a reason why it might be popular, but they also want really new ideas. Which shows to me they aren't looking for just a new show because this is what we think is popular. But because, in my opinion, Nickelodeon's kind of desperate. It doesn't have a good idea for another show to rise up. So it's kind of run into problems. So in my opinion, they're looking for it. They're looking for the next smash hit to try to counteract the stuff that Cartoon Network and Disney XD have been able to pump out. And that's going to become an even bigger problem as things move on to streaming more. Stuff like Disney XD or Cartoon Network can pull on these massive libraries of more recent shows. Now, all 3 networks here, the Disney Plus, whatever Cartoon Network streaming on now, and Paramount Plus have their older cartoons for the most part. But it is a problem because you don't have any new stuff. Like, how many people are going to go back and look up the Nickelodeon cartoons made around the time of Adventure Time moving forward? Not that many, because a lot of them just weren't good. It's just a statement of fact. Now, all this to say is I've been very negative this entire video, but let me be honest here. This thing is amazing in my opinion. If you can take advantage of it, you should. This is the kind of opportunity that maybe only comes once in a lifetime. This is the kind of opportunity, in my personal opinion, that is the kind of thing that people would wish they were born just a few years later or earlier so they could take advantage of it. This is the kind of thing I would dream about as a child. This is the kind of thing I would dream about. There's some kind of offer from a big cartoon station to take my idea on and help me make it a reality. This is the kind of stuff I still dream about to a degree. This is the kind of stuff that makes random ideas into reality. And it cannot be understated that if you can take advantage of this opportunity, you should. This is a very good deal despite all the flaws I've mentioned. This is fertile ground. If you can make an IP, if you can make a cartoon that can live up to the standards that stuff like SpongeBob has set for Nickelodeon, that can stand on even playing fields with modern giants like Gravity Falls and even, you could become one of the greats. You could be known like Steven Hillenburg, the man who gave an entire generation an enjoyable cartoon that is a part of our culture now. Steven Hillenburg defined my generation, probably your generation too if you're going to take advantage of this. And that cannot be understated. That you could be that. You could be that. This is an unparalleled opportunity in the animation world. And in my opinion, to not take it up if you can is nothing short of a mistake. You likely won't get it. There are 3 categories. Preschool kids, that kind of thing. Live action and big kids cartoons. If you have an idea that can fall into any of those 3, I highly, highly recommend that you check this out in the link in the description and you submit your idea. Take advantage of it. You might not get it. You probably won't. I imagine this is going to be a very hot thing that people are going to take on, but people aren't talking about it as much as they should. And it's a big deal, in my opinion. We shouldn't be just letting this sleep on the sidelines. So share this video around to everyone you know. And try to make your show. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I don't want to see people just skimp out on. I had an idea that I was going to submit, and I love and care about it. And I just can't get it because I'm just a little bit too young. But you don't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be your story. This could be the story. This could be the point in your life when you look at it and you say, this is my chance. This is one of those once-in-a-lifetime moments, in my personal opinion. That's the kind of point where you just have to kind of wing it and take it. You just have to try. You might fail. You probably will fail. You probably will start off with nothing. You probably get nothing more out of this than disappointment that you weren't picked. But you have to try, in my opinion. This is far too big of a deal to just let go. It is just such a big deal, in my opinion, and it shouldn't be left alone on the sidelines. So take your chance. It could be your big break. This could be the moment that your dream becomes reality and you'll be cemented in cartoon history as one of the greats. So don't miss this opportunity up. And if you happen to ever become a big animation star and you happen to write your memoirs, just to, I guess, to say a little hi from me, the guy who made this video to send you on your way. Consider me like an old sage who's gonna give you wisdom along your path or something. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Take the opportunity if you can, and I'll see you next time. Yeah. Hey, why don't you hit that sub button? You're gonna become a subscriber. Get to see my content quicker. Wouldn't that be nice? I bet so.